Huge thanks to KTM-Husqvarna Karve Road for making this beautiful bike available to us for the purpose of this review. Contact them by dialing the number below and book the KTM or Husqvarna bike you've always dreamed of owning. In late 2012, KTM entered the Indian motorcycling market with the blisteringly fast Duke 200 at an attractive price of only 1.18 lakhs ex-showroom. Since then, there are now 2.6 lakh KTM riders on Indian roads and the numbers just keep on growing. Since then, KTM has been making some of the most insane performance machines on the market. However, somewhere along the way they did lose their affordable touch because now their new bikes come packed to the gills with features and their prices show that they're full of features because they are not as affordable as they were before, but nonetheless they are deeply impressive machines. But now we have this, the 2021 Duke 125, the baby Duke with a very expensive haircut. So now today with us we have this. It's the 2021 Duke 125 BS6. It costs 8,000 rupees more than its predecessor. So what we're gonna find out, is it worth that expensive 8,000 rupee haircut? So the design of the 125 is straight off the 200, which is straight off the 250, which is straight off the 390. Yeah, you get the pattern. All the Dukes basically have the same design language. I won't argue that it is a stunning form factor with the edges and their signature paint job, and even the all new headlight at the front for the 125, which is a halogen flanked by the LEDs. It also has really cool looking alloys which are wrapped inside really good 110 section and 150 section wheels for the front and the rear respectively. So while I do love the design, a little more diversity would have been nice in the entire Duke lineup because it is getting quite monotonous at this point.
A big part of the riding experience is the place where you sit, the seat. As I pointed out earlier, the split trellis frame can now house a bigger seat. I recently used a BS4 Duke 200 on one of my rides and there isn't much space to move about and eventually gets quite cramped. The new one, however, is much more spacious, and while going on rides you will notice the bigger seat, and it is truly a blessing compared to the BS4. You're gonna have a much better time and you're gonna be much comfortable on it. You and your pillion both. You can accommodate more luggage on the back as well.
This bike comes with a fuel injected liquid cooled 124.7cc motor which puts out 14.9 PS and 12 Newton meters of torque. What that means is it has not lost any power from the previous generation, which is a thumbs up from my side. It's really good. I'm glad it hasn't lost any of those horses. Also, one thing to be noted, this is obviously a bike for the money-minded since it is your basic entry level into the KTM territory. So one thing to keep a lookout for is this bike does not come with a slipper clutch.
The first few times you ride the new 2021 Duke 125, there's a very real possibility that you might end up stalling the bike a few times. This is because we found out you need to build the revs quite a lot more than you would on other bikes to get it going in first gear from stationary. I found it a bit unconventional, but you can definitely get used to it. If you've ridden other KTMs and then you hop onto the saddle of the 2021 125, you will find it to be quite tame and maybe even a bit slow perhaps. Because let's face it, for this price point you can get much quicker motorcycles, but let's not forget this is a KTM. You're paying that money for that technical superiority, that engineering, that awesome frame, and all the effort that's gone into making this switchblade of a tiny motorcycle as flickable, agile, and awesome to drive as it can possibly be, even if it's a low capacity 125. Before 6000 RPM, it is quite tame and calm. Once you cross 6000, it goes revving to the red line in a very KTM fashion, although it is much more linear than its big brothers. As I've always said, I don't really prefer the way the bigger KTMs rev quickly to the red lines in the city. Can get a bit annoying, but the 125 has that taken care of. It's an amazing urban commuter and you can also use it to go quickly on the straights. You get the best of both worlds. It's pretty good performance considering it's a 125cc bike. The simple but effective suspension setup makes this bike awesome for the new and budding motorcyclist. The brakes perform great as well as they're much larger than other brakes of bikes in this class and provide really great stopping power, which is more than sufficient for this bike.
The most prominent difference in this bike compared to the previous 125, besides the design, is the addition of a split trellis frame. A split trellis frame consists of small tubes joined together in a cantilever fashion. This means that the frame comes together in between in a triangular fashion, which helps for better load distribution and makes the bike really stable in corners. This makes the 125 Duke the best handling bike in the segment, and it does a really good job and blends with the high performance nature of KTM bikes as well. So the upgrades which have been given have really changed the 125 from a generic 125 KTM, which is your entry into the Austrian brand, to a proper low capacity performer which handles really well. The new 125 Duke also has a larger 13.5 liter fuel tank, and it has that awesome 6-speed transmission as well. So considering everything that we've discussed, is this bike worth the 8,000 rupee premium that it demands over the last one? Well, I truly think it is. It has that better, edgier design borrowed from its big brothers. It's a better handler. It has that sweet split trellis frame, a better, comfier seat, a better fuel tank. So 8,000 rupees seems like a justified amount to me, because this bike just became even more of a KTM than it already was. The Duke 125 is now a proper KTM, and you cannot not love that. So you should definitely consider this if you're in the market for a low capacity sweet handler which you can use for the commute. Ride safe.